Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, we're gonna dive right in today. We are taking a really fascinating journey back in time, specifically to the summer of 1847, to a rural farming community in Westminster, Massachusetts. We're gonna uncover the hidden, truly holistic life of a woman named Abigail Gates Seaver. Because, instead of just reading dry history, we're gonna visually break down what her daily reality actually looked like. Seriously, prepare to have your entire perspective shifted. So think about this. What did it actually take to survive as a 50-year-old woman in 1847? I mean, it's so easy to look back at history and just see people as mere statistics in some dusty census book, right? But Abigail, she is a highly relatable, incredibly hardworking protagonist who faced immense, grinding daily challenges. She wasn't just existing out there, she was managing an entire ecosystem. And the gap between her world and ours, it's staggering. Think about it. Today, a hard day might mean the Wi-Fi dropped for 10 minutes. And doing the laundry, well, that means pushing a button and waiting 45 minutes while scrolling on our phones. And honestly, we still complain about having to fold it. But Abigail's 1847 reality, that meant physically hauling heavy buckets of water, hand scrubbing every single garment, wringing it all out by hand, and then pressing it with solid, heavy irons heated over a blazing wood fire. Just keep that stark contrast in the back of your mind as we explore her life. Now, in 1847, reaching the age of 50 was a profound milestone. At half a century old, Abigail had already outlived a lot of her contemporaries. She had survived the devastating heartbreak of widowhood, she literally clawed her way through poverty, and she emerged as this remarkably resilient, respected matriarch. Section 1, the 1847 Blended Family. You might think blended families are kind of a modern concept, but no. Abigail was navigating a remarkably complex household dynamic that actually feels incredibly familiar today. She was managing her adult children from her first marriage to Benjamin, some of whom were having babies of their own, and at the exact same time, she was raising children from her second marriage to Isaac, hungry, growing preteen boys, Lyman and Loring. Throw in extended family, including her 73-year-old mother, and Abigail is simultaneously mothering active boys, guiding adults, and embracing her brand new role as a grandmother, all under one bustling family umbrella. It's wild. But underneath all that bustling energy was a quieter, much more tender reality. She was navigating the lingering grief of losing her son Benjamin Jr. 11 years earlier, back in 1836. Nurturing these new generations while carrying the heavy weight of that loss. It really made Abigail a deeply empathetic and remarkably resilient figure in her family. Section 2. Relentless Daily Labor. So, in this census, Abigail's occupation was simply listed as housekeeper. But let me tell you, that modest little title masks a physically demanding reality that is almost hard for us to even fathom today. Without refrigeration, her autumn meant a massive, non-stop volume of food preservation. We're talking pickling vegetables, making preserves and jellies, drying fruits and herbs, smoking meat, salting meat, and storing root vegetables down in the cellar. This wasn't some trendy weekend hobby. This labor literally meant the difference between her family surviving the long, brutal New England winter or facing starvation. And that was just the seasonal work. Remember our laundry comparison from earlier? An all-day Monday wash meant the intense, suffocating heat of a wood stove radiating through a small farmhouse in the dead of summer just to heat the water. Think about the bone-wearing exhaustion of standing on hard floors, scrubbing on a washboard, and hand-wringing heavy, soaking wet wool and linen. It is absolutely crucial to humanize this history. The source material puts it perfectly, saying, her hands were likely rough and work-worn. Her back probably ached from bending over washboards and stoves, and her feet hurt from standing on hard floors all day. The physical toll of this relentless labor was a harsh, undeniable reality of her daily existence. Section 3. Wisdom Beyond the Classroom. We really need to reframe Abigail's story here. Her formal schooling might have been limited to just sporadic winter attendance in a one-room district schoolhouse focusing on the basics. But practically, she was an absolute master of life-saving knowledge. She possessed a vast oral tradition of wisdom, herb lore, meteorology to actually predict the weather for crops, complex textile manufacturing, and intricate food preservation. I mean, she was a walking encyclopedia of survival skills. And her literacy, it was highly, highly functional. She used her reading and writing to manage legal petitions and guardianship courts after her first husband passed away. She kept household accounts, read the Bible, and, fascinatingly, she likely read 1840s newspapers. This means she was staying informed about massive global events like the Mexican-American War and the Irish potato famine, which, by the way, was bringing waves of immigrants into Massachusetts at that exact time.
Section 4. Community and Connection. So how on earth did she balance all this work? Well, Abigail's massive workload intersected directly with her social life and her standing in the Westminster community. In 1847, work and entertainment were inextricably linked. Take a quilting bee, for example. It wasn't just a craft circle, it was an essential social and mutual aid event. Neighbors came together to do necessary, labor-intensive work collaboratively. This provided a really critical support network for women to share advice, trade remedies, and simply enjoy some companionship while getting the job done.
Her community safety net was remarkably diverse, too. You've got church sewing circles, agricultural fairs, work parties like barn raisings, and those crucial day-long or even overnight family visits. Church ladies' aid societies and seasonal celebrations like Thanksgiving or springtime maple sugaring, those really helped break up the sheer monotony of her daily chores. Because she survived such extreme hardships, Abigail became a deeply valued repository of wisdom. She was a respected community elder. She assisted at births, cared for the sick, prepared burials, and counseled younger women. Basically, she gave back the exact kind of community support that she herself had heavily relied upon as a young, impoverished widow. Section 5. Finding Joy in Survival. Despite all the heavy labor and the hardships, Abigail still carved out quiet moments of joy and genuine intellectual stimulation. Take the Lyceum movement, for instance. This was an educational movement organizing public lectures and debates. Even in a conservative farming community like Westminster, Abigail could access broader ideas of natural science, travel, and early reform movements through these popular lectures. Her mind was constantly engaged with the changing world around her. Leisure for Abigail was stolen in the quiet moments right between essential tasks. It was hymn singing with her family. It was passing down oral history and storytelling by the hot stove with her sons Lyman and Loring. It was doing intricate embroidery, maybe borrowing a novel by Charles Dickens, or simply taking a moment to look outside and observe the brilliant New England fall foliage outside her farmhouse. As the source notes, the simple fact that she had survived to age 50, outliving many of her contemporaries, and was part of a thriving family would have been a source of deep contentment and joy. And you know, this really is her quiet victory. It's a profound satisfaction found not in a life of ease, but in a resilient, incredibly holistic life. She built a thriving family with her own two very worn hands. So, I'll leave you with this. How do your own daily conveniences shape your definition of a hard day's work? Seeing the sheer endurance required of Abigail Seaver in 1847 really makes you appreciate both her hidden history and the modern reality we get to wake up to every single day. Thank you so much for diving into this explainer with me. Keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.